Okay, I'm starting to record. So I'm gonna get my screen shared here and pull up PowerPoint. Again, we're barely gonna look at the PowerPoint, but we'll use it kind of to guide our discussion. So that's funny. Hang on a second. Okay. All right. So I've gotten most of your papers turned in, so you must have some sense of relief. And now we're going to get ready for your senior seminar presentations. So I think, I know we got our webinar messed up last time, but it's probably for the better that we do it on this timing, because this way you're done writing your papers and you can focus on the content of this, which is actually preparing your presentation. So it kind of makes more sense anyway. So let's see, before I just jump in and get started, I just want to touch base with those of you who are here and see if you have any kind of pressing questions or issues or things you want to make sure that I talk about tonight. No? Tina?
Nope.
Okay.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Yep.
I just saw your name pop up, so okay. Do you guys see my go-to meeting control panel on your screens, or is it only me?
I can see it.
Oh. I don't know, it's kind of distracting. Okay. We'll just put it over here. Okay. I don't know why I won't minimize. I don't want to close it. I'm afraid that might like shut us down. Okay. Alrighty, so here we go. Workshop number 4, your presentation. Okay. So what we're going to cover today, we are going to cover the guidelines for your presentation, kind of how I expect you to organize your PowerPoint, some of the formatting requirements for the PowerPoint, how to do your citations on the PowerPoints. Something I added since I first made this presentation is stuff about images. So I want to talk to you a little bit about kind of where to get images, how to source images, and maybe some kind of newer, unique ways that you can put images into your PowerPoint. So we'll look at that, and then just kind of some final comments on your presentation and what I'll be grading it on. So this stuff is relevant whether you're going to be doing your presentation in the classroom or whether you're going to be doing it independently. Pretty much the same criteria for either way. So you're going to be creating a PowerPoint either way. Okay, so overall, your presentations, and this is specifically if you're in the classroom, your presentation is going to be limited to 30 to 40 minutes long, and that's just because of our time constraints to make sure we have enough time for everybody to present and to make sure that we have time for questions. So we leave 10 to 15 minutes then for questions and discussion. And then we have a break. And so we have a full hour really for each presentation, but that includes questions and answers, and that also includes the time for a break. So what I ask is that when you're practicing kind of how long it takes you to present, just try not to go any longer than 40 minutes, just so we have time for everything. Now, if you're doing your presentation out in public on your own, you're welcome to go longer. I think it's fine to go an hour if that is more fitting. If you're doing it on your own. And so
Hello, Sarah. Can you hear me? This is Helen.
Hi, Helen.
Oh, good. You can hear me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you have a question?
No, I'm just, okay. I had a problem with my microphone and my son just helped me fix it. So thanks.
Okay. You're online.
I'll mute myself. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, so I say on here you need at least 1 to 2 minutes per slide. That totally varies. I mean, I think that is approximate guide as you're starting to make your PowerPoint, that you can kind of assume it might take you 1 to 2 minutes per slide, but that really does vary. And when we get into kind of how you're going to lay out and design your slides, I mean, you could easily have a slide that's just a picture and it's not going to take you much time. You might have something you want to say about it, but it would go more quickly. So a guide would be 1 to 2 minutes per slide, which would mean you would want to have 15 to 30 slides. That would mean, right? But again, it depends how much content is on each slide or how long you're going to need to talk about it. The fourth point here, I say you cannot present all of the details of your paper. Choose the most important points. For sure. So you've written a 30 or 30-some page paper with a lot of content, and I don't expect you to present all of the details. You know, you will be presenting something from each section of your paper, certainly, but you do need to prioritize and you know, pull out some interesting points, or the things that you think your audience is going to find most interesting. Like, you really do have to prioritize. So just don't try to do too much. And that definitely goes for the content that you put on to your actual slides. I mean, I'm going to get into that more, but don't put too much on your slides, or don't put too many details. You're not going to be rewriting your paper in PowerPoint form. You're going to prioritize. Okay. Consider your audience, and that always is the case. Now, this is a challenging thing, because if you are presenting in the classroom, you're presenting to your peers who know as much as you do, not on your topic, but they have as much background knowledge about nutrition as you do. But of course, you know, many of you have written your papers intending it to be more for a lay audience. And I would say go ahead and, you know, prepare your presentation for a lay audience if that was always the intention of your paper. Don't worry about the fact that a lot of your audience in the classroom has more education, you know, in nutrition. So prepare for the audience that you always intended your paper to be for, and that's fine. And we actually will, even if you are presenting in the classroom, we often have friends or family or community members come in and listen. And so you will probably have some in your audience who are not students. Or you could have students come who are like brand new to the program. So pretty much, I mean, the invitation is open, and we usually get a handful, not a lot of people, but a handful of people coming in that are not in the class itself. Okay. Now this last point is pretty huge, pretty kind of overriding message I want to send to you tonight is that you should design your PowerPoint to be a springboard for your oral presentation. So as a springboard, that means your PowerPoint is not going to include everything you say. It is just going to include the highlights, and it's going to remind you what it is you want to say. So yeah, that's a really important point, and I'll probably keep coming back to that. I want to take a quick divergence off of my PowerPoint right now. And I want to show you some examples of bad PowerPoint slides. Okay, slideshow. Okay, so this is just this slide here. So it says the use of the PowerPoint presentation has been a disaster. It should be ditched. This slide is not bad. I'm not using this particular slide as an example of a bad PowerPoint slide. This one is perfectly fine and easy to read and easy to look at. But there is a whole kind of camp of people who would argue that PowerPoint have basically destroyed our ability to communicate properly, or our ability to actually give a reasonable speech in public. That PowerPoint is a horrible way to present information. And I mean, essentially, like, yes, you could make a lot of arguments that PowerPoint's not a good way to communicate. Like, does it make any sense really to communicate in bullet points? No. But the fact is, like, PowerPoint is used everywhere, all over the place. When people give presentations, they use PowerPoint. And so you pretty much you have to work with what it allows you to do and try to use PowerPoint to your advantage, and not fall into the trap of just making a horrible PowerPoint, basically. So you do your best with it, and actually, I think it is possible to give an excellent presentation using a PowerPoint, and that's what you're expected to do for senior seminar. So anyway, okay, examples of bad slides. What's wrong with this slide? Why do I think it's bad?
You can't read it.
Exactly. So, I mean, the message on this slide is like, there's all these background pictures, then there's like light or, different colored text on top of that. And yeah, you can't read it. It's not clear. And so, one kind of general rule of thumb is, well, I mean, in this case, basically, don't put words over top of a picture. That's the obvious thing that you shouldn't be doing in this one. Don't put words over top of a picture because you can't read them. Kind of a general rule is to do either a simple light colored background with dark colored font, or vice versa. Dark colored background with white font. But this, yeah, too much picture, too much color. You can't read it. Okay. Here's another bad slide. Now, obviously, this doesn't say, well, this says stuff in Latin. But why do you think this is a bad slide?
It gets too dark at the bottom.
You guys don't like that it's too dark at the bottom?
Too much content.
Too many words.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest issue with this slide is that there are too many words on it. This would be a problem of basically taking your research paper and trying to put it in PowerPoint form. This is just too many words, too much information. So, you don't want your audience to sit there and feel like they have to read a paragraph of information on the screen. If you're going to follow the rule of the PowerPoint being a springboard to remind you what to talk about, you just need brief bullet points that then trigger you to explain, more detail. So the rule of thumb here, as far as how much content to put on a slide, you'll hear a rule that's either the 6x6 or 7x7. If we go with 6x6, what that means is you should have no more than 6 bullet points on a slide, and each bullet point should have no more than 6 words in it. Wait, is it 6 words? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how it goes. I have that on my PowerPoint when we get back to it, but there's definitely what it means is like no more than 6 brief bullet points. So this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bullet points. Okay, but each bullet point just has too many lines in it. Okay, so don't put too much. Okay, now, well, this is fuzzy, but even if it weren't fuzzy, what's wrong with it?
The pictures over the words.
Yeah, again, same issue of pictures over words, words over pictures, too much going on. You can't read a single thing. It's not useful, okay? So I think the take-home message from this one is just to keep the slides simple. Okay, don't try to put too much on one slide. I love this one. This is like my favorite example ever because I swear you will try to do this. Everybody tries to do this to some extent when they create a PowerPoint. And so what's wrong with this?
Way too make any sense. Yeah, it's too complicated.
Yeah, and way too much and way too tiny. So have you ever watched someone give a lecture or presentation and they get to the slide that's like this and they say, so I know you're not able to read this, but, and then they go and explain it, right? So if you have to say, I know you're not able to read this, but, then don't put it there, okay? Because it's not useful. Like, okay, I can see you're trying to show me a flow chart. I can see that there's a lot of information, but even if you point to stuff and try to explain it to me, it doesn't help me to look at this, right? So if the image you want to use just has too much going on that you can't actually make it legible, I mean, not legible, readable, readable from the back of the room, you have to do something different. Okay, but this is an easy trap to fall into because you'll probably find flowcharts or something that you think is just perfect, but if you have to say, I know you can't see it, it's not going to work. Okay.
So wouldn't you break it up into smaller, different slides and do smaller concepts in that case?
Right, yeah, you definitely could. Like maybe you just want to, I guess it would be okay to say flash this up and say, I'm going to show you, use a circle around this part. Say, on the next slide, I'm going to show you this section of the flow chart. Yeah, and then you could, make that bigger on the next slide so it's actually readable. That would be the one approach that you could do. Okay, so this was just kind of meant to be, okay, kind of obvious things not to do. And now what I want to do is kind of go through a little more, just some pointers and ideas of what to do. It's kind of funny because the PowerPoint that I am using right now as we speak, I'm following most of the rules, right, about being simple and easy to read and not too much information on a slide. But the thing I didn't do is make it at all interesting with any kind of images or pictures or diagrams or anything. And so that is definitely not setting a good example for you. But in anyway, yeah, this would be a better PowerPoint had I incorporated something more visually stimulating, I guess, and I didn't. But anyway, that's beside the point. So we're going to go to organizing first. So that's one part of your PowerPoint, is just organizing and getting the right content, right? And so to do that, it's pretty simple. You're going to follow the outline of your paper. You're going to present background information. You're going to present your research question. You're going to present why this matters to your audience. So you're going to present all that stuff that you put into your introduction. And then you're going to present each section of your paper with supporting evidence. But like I said, you're just going to pick and choose the highlights of each section and not give everything. And then at the end, you're going to give some sort of summary or conclusion or take-home message. So you're following the exact order of your paper. And so here would be, for example, on your organizing your PowerPoint, you would have these slides. So you would have your title slide. Then you could call it your overview, or you could call it a table of contents or introduction even. I like to call it an overview slide where you tell your audience what you're going to tell them, right? You give the outline of your lecture. List the topics you'll cover. And whatever topics you list, then those will each become the headings for each section of the PowerPoint. And then you create each section. you know, like I said, based on the body of your paper, each section. And so it says here, no more than one topic per slide. You certainly will, I'm sure you will use more than one slide to cover any given topic or what is a section in your paper. But don't, I guess when it says no more than one topic per slide, that just goes back to the rule of don't try to squeeze too much into one slide. And then you'll finish by having either a summary slide or a conclusion slide. Now you won't actually have a separate slide for references, and I'll show you why. Anytime you want to include a reference, you're going to actually put it at the bottom of the slide that you're talking about. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. All right, so that's pretty straightforward. Okay, here, so you want to create simple bullet points. We've talked about present one main idea per slide. The bullet points do not need to be complete sentences, and you know there's really no reason that they need to be complete sentences, because you really shouldn't expect your audience to just read the PowerPoint and understand your talk. I mean, again, it's a launching point for you. So bullet points could be one word, whatever it takes, you know, to remind you what to say. It's okay to include full sentences. That's fine. It's just that you don't have to. So whichever style you feel best about. Here's the rule of thumb 6 by 6. So I had it right. Use no more than 7 bullet points with no more than 7 words per line, per bullet point, I would say. Hang on, yeah. Use no more than 7 words per line. Use no more than 7 lines per slide. I'm sorry. Okay, so let's look at this again. I had it a little bit wrong. No more than 7 words per line, no more than 7 lines per slide. So it's actually not 7 bullet points, it's 7 lines. So this is like 1, 2, on this slide we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7. If you're using a big enough font, that can be one way, just to make sure that you don't try to put too many words on there. I have the size of the font listed, I believe. Yeah, here we go. So I'm sorry, I'm jumping to point 2 here. If you use a minimum font size of 24 point and preferably a 26 or 28, that will make sure that you don't try to squeeze in too many words. So this font that you're looking at right now is a 28 point. So when you have 28 point, you pretty much will kind of follow that, no more than 7 lines per slide. Back up to the first point on this slide, choose a template that's simple and easy to read. So this is where I already told you, either dark on light or light on dark. You know, either way works. Usually if it's light on dark, it would be white. It would be something like white on a dark blue, for example. Yeah, or like a dark blue or black. Just black on white is perfectly fine. Okay, the point 3 here, use slides, slide numbers. You can always insert slide numbers after you're done creating the whole thing. Images should be big, simple, and informative. So that goes back to, you know, don't try to include an itty-bitty, detailed, tiny flow chart that nobody can see. Just make sure that they're functional images that you use. And follow citation guidelines that I'm going to show you. So here's how I'm asking you to do the citations. And essentially, this is, I mean, I ask you to do it this way because, well, I think this is pretty standard. I don't know if there's technically like an AMA style for PowerPoint, but there's kind of a standard way of that it's usually done. And this is how I was taught. So this is how I'm teaching you. So it makes sense, I think, that when if you're talking about a study on a certain slide, it makes sense to have the reference right there, because if it's on a slide at the very end, then what if somebody asks you, oh, well, where did that study come from? Then you have to flip all the way to the end of your presentation to find what the reference is and flip back. It doesn't make sense. So it's pretty straightforward if you have the reference right there on the slide. And so the way you do that is exactly example how I did it right here. So I say, oopsie, I meant to highlight and I clicked forward. Okay, so what you do on the slide, you cite with a superscript. So I did a 1. Place the citation in a text box at the bottom of each slide. Okay, should I show you how to do this exactly? I can. So it's very similar to what you do in Word. So what if we're gonna put a, actually you're not using any footnote function or anything. You're just doing this manually because it's pretty, you're only gonna have 1 or 2 references on a slide anyway. But you'll put the number, you'll make it a superscript, which you just do with one of these little buttons here. And then you'll insert a text box at the bottom. I already did, but I'll just insert another one just to show you. You just put a insert text box and you'll put that here and you'll start typing in it. And my second reference is, author, and then journal, and then year. Okay. So that's how you would do it. Although in this case, I wouldn't do 2 separate text boxes. You would just continue here with your reference number 2 in the same text box if you have 2 of them. Okay. I'll just delete the second text box. I was just showing you how. Okay, so and the other thing is that you don't actually have to put as much information in this citation as you do in your paper. So I say here at a minimum, the citation should include the first author's name, the journal name, the year, the volume, and page numbers. That's what I included here. I don't know what I just clicked, funny. Okay. And so that's because, you don't want to take up too much space, but basically this is enough information that anybody could go find that study if they needed it. So this leaves out the actual name of the article. And it leaves out a lot of author names. You don't have to list 6 authors. You just list 1 of them. So that's just a simplified way to cite it. And what else about that? Okay, I do have something else about it. So this is the standard way that I basically expect most of your slides to use this format. I want to show you kind of no, we're just going to leave it at that. We're going to leave it at that. Yeah. Well, no, I'll tell you this. This is just a fun thing that I saw a student do once that I think is another acceptable thing to do that's interesting. So what she did was when she actually wanted to talk about a study, instead of just putting the name of it here, she actually went to PubMed, found this study. I'm just going to pull up any one. What are we going to put up? I'm going to just find any study here. Okay. And what she did was she took a screenshot of this information here, like that, takes a screenshot, and then put that into the PowerPoint. I thought that was kind of cool. So I'll just show you that. So we would do a new slide. And there was this study on turmeric or whatever, right? And then she inserts now it's going to be saved. You have to know where it saves it on your computer to find it. I know it saves it automatically to my desktop when I take a screenshot. Screenshot, there it is, 7:29 p.m. insert. So she like inserted that. And so then it was kind of an interesting way. It's like, hey, look, here's the study. All the information you need is right there to find it again. And, you know, that's just kind of a unique way to highlight that study. So that's an idea. I'm happy if you want to steal that idea. Or you could do that on some of your slides if you really want to highlight a certain study, or you could just do the regular citation style on anything else. I guess
I've actually experienced someone using that recently.
Oh, really? You've seen that?
They put the abstract and the information. They did the screenshot like that, but the room we were in and the amount of screen that it showed, you couldn't read anything on it.
Oh.
He couldn't even read anything on it.
Okay.
So watch for the size of it if you're going to do something like that.
Great. Yeah, good point. And yeah, and this, I wouldn't necessarily really expect anyone to be able to read that abstract for sure. And what you might do is, you know, this would be here. You would actually have a few points that, you know, you'd be making about it in a regular, whatever.
Good idea.
Okay, so here's that. I guess I don't want to jump away from citations quite yet. I want to just make another couple comments. You don't need to overly cite. Like, I would only really put a citation if you're really telling about a certain study. Like, I just don't, I mean, you don't need to put citations in your presentation to the extent that you probably put them in your paper. And you may have had, you know, 30 references on your paper, and you're only going to end up with like 8 on your presentation or something. Okay, so yeah. Do we have questions on citation before looking at images?
That was good for me. Thanks.
So, okay, so images. I'm going to jump over again and kind of go online and look at some of these things with you. But there's a few different things for images. So for one, actually, I'm sorry, I'm going to go back into PowerPoint. For one, you can just create your own things. Like if you want to create a table, great. Like create a table of information, and PowerPoint has all of these fun tools to create tables that, you know, look interesting and are different colors and whatnot. You know, just play with it. Okay, so inserting tables is one way to kind of make your PowerPoint more visually interesting. I just deleted that whole slide, didn't I? I did. Okay. So tables or charts. Charts are things like more like graphs, like inserting pie graphs or bar graphs. Okay, if you want to kind of show any sort of data or trends or, you know, percentages. And that I mean, you can just add, even if there's like one really meaningful study that makes such a great point about your thesis, and it showed that you know, 90% of people who took some vitamin like improved on the condition you're talking about or whatever. Like you could even like create some sort of graph to show those results if you really wanted to highlight it. So that's one thing you can do just to kind of make your presentation more visually interesting, is by creating certain charts or tables. Or flow charts. So SmartArt does these various flow charts like processes, cycles, diagrams. So there are these tools in PowerPoint that you can certainly play with to create stuff. Okay, then images that you want to just get online and put images in. So things that are free, like these things I'm listing here, these Pixabay free images, stock free, these are not really going to be informative in any way. They're not going to be showing you biochemical pathways. They're not, you know, they're not educational necessarily. They're just pretty, which is fine. Like it's fine to just include pictures that are pretty too. And so that's, on some of your slides, that's fine, just to include a picture of a bowl of vegetables, like that's fine. So these are some of the websites that you can go to, just to get some free kind of fluff, right? Fluff pictures, just pretty pictures for free. So that's one option. I don't want to spend a lot of time in here, but you can just search for, oh, I'm talking about carrots, so I'm going to see if there's any pictures of carrots. And here you go. Now all of these, not that top row, Shutterstock you pay for, but everything down here is free, and you can basically just download it directly to your computer, and you have a nice picture of carrots. Okay. So that's one option, are those 3 sites I listed just for regular pictures. Then I want to talk a little bit about using Google Images. So let's go there. Google, let's look for pictures of carrots on Google. In fact, actually, no, let's not just do carrots. Let's do something a little bit more technical. Like, let's say you actually want to put in there how tryptophan gets converted to serotonin. Okay, you want to put in some like image of that. Instead of, you could create that yourself, but maybe you want to find like something cool image related to that. Okay, so tryptophan, serotonin, and I'm on regular Google now, so I want to switch to the images of Google. Right, so you want something like this, right? That's what you want. So, there are a couple things about this. Like the biggest thing to be cognizant of is stealing somebody else's work, right? So like especially here, this is a great image, okay, but where does it come from? It's on nature.com. So like they didn't put a copyright on there, but basically like if you just take this and put it in your PowerPoint, like you are stealing somebody else's image that they made, okay? And so, you could go, like I can go see where this is actually online if you click on that. So this was actually published in, it's a figure published in a paper that's published in this journal, Molecular Psychiatry. Okay, so if you're just gonna lift it, it's not illegal to do that for purposes of school. Like if you're making something for school and education, you can actually take anything from anywhere and put it in there. But even if you do that, you should always give credit to where it came from. And if you're going to be presenting this out in public, I would be even more careful about where you're taking things from and making sure to give credit. So like in this case, I would say, okay, it would be fine to take this image, but not just to put it in there and pretend you made it yourself or you don't know where it came from, it just appeared in your PowerPoint. Like if you're going to take something like this, I would then go ahead and put a citation at the bottom of that slide where you're using this and put enough information to show like, oh, okay, look, back to article. It came from this article. Like cite this article. Say this, this table was taken from this article. So that's the tricky thing with Google Images is Google Images was like, it like searches the web for anything it can find and it shows you those images and you're basically stealing them if you just, put it in there with no citation. So here's the citation right here, Molecular Psychology, 2010, 15, blah, blah, blah. So just take that citation and put it on your slide so that we know where you got that nice flow chart. So that would be fine. Now, something like this, you could actually make yourself. Like you could make that on PowerPoint easily by using arrows and putting in little clip art. You could make that thing. Okay. There's another kind of interesting search tool when you're in Google Images. So if you don't want to have to worry about like, oh, am I allowed to use this? Am I stealing somebody else's image that they made? Like there's a search tool. You click on search tools you click on usage rights, and you can filter it. So the options right now, the default is not filtered by license. They just search the web and show you all images. Then you can choose labeled for reuse with modification, labeled for reuse, labeled for non-commercial reuse with modification, labeled for non-commercial reuse. I don't want to get into the details of what the differences are between these things. I think basically any of those qualify for what you're doing. You're doing non-commercial reuse. You're not selling your PowerPoint or anything. So any of these qualify. You could look. I usually do either labeled for reuse or labeled for non-commercial reuse. So if we do label for reuse, that means like all these images are like free, they've said anyone can use these. You don't have to give a citation for them. So any of these you could just, like these were posted on Wikipedia and whoever put it there was like, fine, this is a free picture, anyone can have it. Now it's illegible, so it doesn't help you, but yeah, so this is on Commons, Wikipedia. You could take that image. And so to take these, you just like right click and you can save the image to your computer directly.
What if we might want to sell our presentation later? How would you do that?
So that would be labeled for reuse because it's basically, yeah, labeled for, you can reuse it. All these things are fine.
Oh, okay. Okay. Filters it for you and any of these are fine. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, like basically for commercial use, anything that says labeled for use would be fine. Anything from those free images, Pixabay and freeimages.com, those things would be fine. Yeah, if it's for really commercial purposes, I would probably not just lift a graph out of an already published article. I would just basically, you could, if there's a graph in a published article that you really like, you just use the same data and recreate it yourself. Create a new graph in PowerPoint from scratch.
Okay.
And then also consider using screenshots. So just like I did on that PubMed example that I showed you, you could also use screenshots just to capture pictures you want in your PowerPoint. So I've done this before when I'm doing something on like looking at dietary supplements. And so maybe it's not necessarily something, the perfect picture doesn't come up on Google Images, but say you just go to some website, like let's just go to Pure Encapsulations, and you want to like a picture of a product, okay? And so like this is what you really want to show. You just take a screenshot of what picture you want to steal, and then you can put that into your PowerPoint just like we did with the PubMed. That's another way. So that, yeah, I don't know as far as like legalities of doing that, honestly. But I mean, for the most part, I'm sure it'd be fine if you're just like capturing a piece of a picture from a website. I don't know. I don't know the legalities of taking a screenshot and putting it in there, honestly. It probably depends exactly what the screenshot is taken of. But yeah, so then I would do, so you take a screenshot differently on a Mac than you do on a PC. So if you don't know how to do that, just Google how to take a screenshot and it will tell you how. On a Mac, you do Command-Shift-4 and then you select your area. But so in this case that I just showed you, I'll go find that screenshot again that I just took and we'll insert that picture of the calcium magnesium. So that's another way to get pictures, screenshots. Okay, any questions on images, figures, tables, etc.? Okay, I only have a few more items. So that was pretty much creating your PowerPoint. And then when you go to actually present it, just a few comments on that. Don't read your slides. I mean, I mean, the reason to not read your slides is, I don't expect you to have enough information on your slides to be, your whole presentation. Your slides should have brief things that tell you what to say, give you an idea of what to say. The PowerPoint should serve as a reminder of what to discuss. Make eye contact with your audience. I mean, this is a hard thing. Everybody's nervous when they get up in front of the audience, and it's nerve-wracking, and you might be shaking and you might be sweating, and that's okay, but just do your best to talk to your audience. And the more you practice and the more comfortable you feel with your material, then the less nervous that you'll be, and the more you'll be able to just share your stuff with the audience and have fun with it. Be animated, use body language, give examples. Think of your presentation as if you're telling a story, and be clear. So I think, again, the biggest thing I think about giving a good presentation is you can talk all you want about how talk slowly, make eye contact, don't just read, but basically, if you can be relaxed, you're going to give a good presentation. And you're going to be more relaxed if you know your material really well. So basically, just practice. Just practice. Do your presentation for friends and family, whatever, before. Just do it alone in front of the mirror, before you come, and it'll be a lot easier. And then, grading criteria, I guess I just want to make sure everyone understands and is on the same page, but you are actually going to be graded on the PowerPoint itself. I ask that you turn in the PowerPoint, email the PowerPoint, either as a PowerPoint or as a PDF document, either way, just so that I can see it. And then you're going to be graded on a handout to accompany your presentation. So you're expected to have both of those things prepared on the night of your presentation. And then if you're presenting in the classroom, I'll be giving a grade just on your presentation itself. If you're presenting as home study, there are various evaluations that you need to have your audience fill out and do a self-evaluation, and that's all detailed in the syllabus, but those are just the two different ways that we're able to give a grade for the presentation itself.
Sarah?
Yes.
Is the handout something new?
Yes, it is. Yep. It says it in the syllabus, but we did not require a handout last year.
Okay.
And what is the handout supposed to be? I mean, what is supposed to be on the handout?
Okay, so the handout follows the handout grading criteria for NTI that go for all of your classes, and that is 2 sides or 2 pages, however you want to call it. And the information is it would be like a summary of your of your talk, that something that you would bring with you if you were just going out in public and giving this talk, something you would hand out to people who come that is informative about your presentation, and of course include your business information, etc.
So this is more of like a client handout that we have had asked for several assignments throughout the coursework.
Exactly. Yep. It's just that it relates to your presentation. It goes with you.
And more than 2 pages, front and back?
Right. Just front and back, or 2 pages. Yeah. Is that the end? Okay, so anything else?
Yeah, can I ask a question on the slides themselves? I know the very first one, we give our name, but name and title of the presentation. But can we put like I've been to so many presentations. Can we put something on each slide? Like that identifies either me or the name of my business or something like that.
Yes, absolutely. So kind of as part of the template, we didn't even go in. I meant to go in and look at different templates, but yes, you could add, a text box at the bottom of each, or a footer, I guess, at the bottom of each that has your business information. No problem. Yeah. Are there other questions? This is really kind of the easy part now that you're done with your papers. It's the fun part of taking your papers and just making them look pretty. Okay.
I did have a quick question. I was late coming on to the seminar.
Okay.
But I was just wondering how many slides it's supposed to be. I missed that, and it's probably back in the...
Okay, no problem. Yeah. So the number of slides is not as important as how long it takes you to present. So if you're presenting in the classroom, you have 30 to 40 minutes to talk and then take questions and answers. If you're doing independent study, home study, presenting on your own, you could go up to an hour, just depending on your, what you decide. But like what I said is that you can kind of assume.
Yes.
Are you guys there? Somebody's talking. You can assume it's going to take 1 to 2 minutes on each slide, which would mean maybe 15 to 30 slides.
Okay, so, all right, so because we have up to an hour, we can kind of, because I am doing my home study,
Yeah.
We can just kind of gauge it however long it takes us to talk through it.
Exactly. Yeah. But I think a big point, and maybe you missed one of the first things I said, is that, you're not going to be presenting everything that's in your paper because it's going to be too long and people are going to fall asleep. So you really want to prioritize and kind of pick and choose the highlights from your paper.
And if I was understanding correctly from kind of the syllabus and from what people were saying, is that our presentation will be geared more to a lay audience rather than our peers.
I think most people are. So I said, whatever you intended your paper to be for, that's how you can tailor your talk. I mean, if you're home study, and you're planning to present at a at a health food store, then definitely make sure that you are presenting an appropriate way for a lay audience. But if you're home study and organizing a talk with a bunch of health professionals, then you would present to that audience. So whichever one makes sense in your situation.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sarah, can you this PowerPoint is your writing workshop for PowerPoint is available to us. Is that correct?
Yes and no. I'll have to. I basically updated it shortly before I presented to you, so an older version has been posted. I'll have to send my updated version to the office to post this version.
Okay, that would be helpful because I did not write down the websites that had the free pictures, so I just want to make sure I know what those are.
I can just pull it up here too again. Oh, okay. I'll show it to you. There you go.
Thank you.
Sure. Yep. All righty. Well, I certainly look forward to hearing everybody's talks. I think this is the fun part, like I said, and you all get to learn from each other. So,
Yay!
yay! I'll see you all in senior seminar, or some of you I'll see in senior seminar. And yeah.
Those of us that are doing like home study, would you mind if we came in and sat in on some of the presentations in class?
So anyone is welcome to come into the senior seminar. I have finalized the schedule, and I sent the schedule into the office and asked them to post it. I know they can post it on the NTI Facebook page. I'm not sure how else they're going to inform the student body about the schedule, but I mean, I would hope the word can get out, and we invite anybody who wants to come is welcome to come. So, actually, if you're interested, this is Suzanne talking, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want me to just email you the schedule so you know?
Oh, that would be awesome. I'd appreciate that because
Okay.
that's the disadvantage of doing home studies. You don't get to hear everybody else's.
Okay. I'll send you the schedule. That way you can come to whatever interests you.
Okay, that would be great. I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Sarah, I also have another question. If we turned in our thesis, how do we know our grade and if there's any corrections we need to make before our presentation?
I'm going to be sending those back in good order I don't know what.
Okay.
I'm working through them. I'm starting to read them, and I hope to get them, the ones that I currently have, hope to get them back by early next week to you guys. And yeah, I make some comment, I definitely do make some comments and suggestions for maybe preparing for a senior seminar. None of the suggestions that I make would be anything major, it wouldn't be anything like huge that you would have to change.
Okay, so we could get started on it, basically,
yeah,
right?
You can definitely get started, and yeah, I might have a few tips and pointers, but yeah, it's not going to be anything that's going to totally upset your boat.
Okay, right.
So you can definitely get started. But yeah, I will get those returned.
I know they're big. I know it's a big read.
Yeah, well, I'm working on them this week, and I'll probably work on them through the weekend and try and get them returned early next week.
Oh, great.
Sarah,
Yeah.
if we want to invite friends or family, do we need to call office that like?
No, not at all.
No.
You can just invite them. They can just show up.
Okay. Wonderful.
Yeah. All right. Are we done?
Yeah.
Okay. I will see you all soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.